we only have half a day here in the city because our plane was delayed, and then it just took a while to pass migration and arrive to the hotel. And tomorrow, unfortunately, we need to leave early to Patagonia, so we'll try to see as much as possible today. We arrived to Buenos Aires on a direct flight from London, although I wouldn't be able to call this flight entirely direct because it actually stopped in São Paulo, but we were not allowed to exit, so we were stuck there for a couple of hours until pretty much everyone who was flying until São Paulo exited and the new people came in, and all this time we were supposed to sit and wait, which was not the ideal experience, but of course it's understandable because that's how the airlines make money, and it also would have been a really long flight if it was just going directly from London to Buenos Aires. So in total it took us around 16 and a half hours to fly from London to Buenos Aires, so we were pretty tired when we arrived, even though we managed to sleep because there was plenty of time. But when we arrived, we rushed directly to the hotel. We stayed at the Marriott in the city center of Buenos Aires, and it was a lovely hotel, although it was a little bit run down, to be fair, versus our Marriott hotels in other cities where we stayed before, but the lobby was gorgeous. After we checked in, we went to try the most important staple of street food in Buenos Aires, choripan. Choripan's basically a bread with a massive sausage inside. It looks like this. It comes with a few sauces, and you can put the sauce of your choice inside. Some people have it with wine, but the majority of people have it with beer. And to be fair, we made a mistake asking for two because one would have been more than enough, even though we were starving, because the portion sizes are massive. So keep that in mind. After this very big lunch, we decided to walk around the city and enjoy the city center of Buenos Aires. We also popped into Galerías Pacífico. It's a gorgeous shopping mall that is definitely one of the most beautiful ones in the world, and it's for sure the most beautiful shopping mall in Buenos Aires. There are plenty of boutique shops, but of course the prices are way more expensive than the prices you would get in Europe or United States for the same brands. So perhaps it's not the best shopping destination, but the shopping mall is definitely worth visiting. After that, we realized that we don't actually have enough time to see everything we want in Buenos Aires, and that's the reason to come back next time for sure. So we decided to save time and take one of the bus tours around the city. We were looking for a hop-on, hop-off tour, but we found an alternative, this yellow bus that came with a tour guide. Of course, the tour guide was not a real person. It was an audio guide in multiple languages, exactly like in a typical hop-on, hop-off tour, but it was very useful because there were lots of announcements about the history of the city, and of course the tour brought us to the most beautiful and worthy spots in the city center. Sadly, one part of the route was closed due to the fact that there was a football match going on, a very important one, so the whole kind of area around the stadium was closed this day, so we couldn't see it, and it was not advised to go there by taxi as well, because during this big football matches, the city can get a little rowdy, like, everywhere in the world. Football fans can be a little crazy. But yes, so unfortunately this time we were not able to see this part of the city, sadly, because it's known to be one of the prettiest parts of the city as well. It's very colorful, very unique, but we were able to see the rest of the city, and I could tell you that Buenos Aires left a really good impression on us. It almost looks like a European city pretty much. Oh, this is a sneak peek of the football fans that couldn't get to the stadium area, so they were gathering here on the hills and chanting, shouting, and watching football on their mobile phones. But yeah, overall, Buenos Aires, at least the city center of Buenos Aires, was extremely clean, very green, with lots of parks and places where you can cycle, go for a walk, and just enjoy the space. And oh my, there was a lot of space. There were also lots of beautiful, well taken care of buildings. You could also right away see which areas were kind of on the pricier side, sort of fancy, luxurious areas of the city. And we decided to finish our tour in probably the most lively and fun area of Buenos Aires. That's equivalent of Soho in London. And the area is called, guess what? Palermo Soho. So yeah, it has Soho in its name too. We arrived to the Palermo Soho area, and it's known for its beautiful street art. There's lots of food options. There's so many nice quirky shops, bars, restaurants. It's like one of the best areas for going out and just spending time in Buenos Aires. And we are wearing winter jackets because it was so cold in the bus, but it's actually not so cold outside at all. At this time, the football was still going on, so you could hear people in the bars. And around Palermo Soho area, as I mentioned, there are lots of places to drink and lots of bars, but also lots of beautiful street art. So we walked around the streets looking for some of the most remarkable street art pieces. And you know, it's also worth mentioning that we were in Argentina at the beginning of November. So this is a transitional period. It's the beginning of spring. So the weather could be unpredictable, but generally it's also very mild and warm. So we definitely took off our winter jackets very soon. It got dark also pretty fast, and we witnessed all the kind of coffee shops and cafes slowly closing down and bars becoming busier and busier, and also almost out of nowhere a big street market popped up. In the street market you could buy pretty much anything. There were lots of stalls selling different soaps, shampoos. Of course, as you can imagine, with any street market, there were lots of jewelry stalls, also kind of like products from around the world, a stall selling Indian incenses and kind of Tibetan bowls. So yeah, there was a lot of different stuff, and it was really, really busy as well. At first, we were not quite sure about kind of the safety in this market, but then soon we realized that this area is completely safe, and overall Buenos Aires is also very safe, at least the areas we've seen. But of course, be mindful with money changing scams, and we actually unfortunately fell victims to this scam, and it was our own stupidity, and luckily we only lost $50, but it was a good lesson that we learned. It happened just after we took the metro to the area where we were staying. So there is this big street, pedestrian street, where you can find lots of people who are willing to change money on the street. And this particular guy gave us fake money. You know how it's a little difficult to change money in Argentina because the official exchange rate is not that good, and Western Union offices are often overcrowded. So people resort to changing money on the streets. Or, of course, you can also pay with a credit card, a foreign credit card, but they're not always accepted. So, of course, you always need cash. But that's something to keep in mind. And I hope you have no issues with changing money whatsoever. And see you guys in the next video from Patagonia.